Hey guys, Family Show number 24, and I've got FnA Van Life with me today, and I have to say that your guys's and I heard you make a joke because I was watching your videos, and I heard you make a joke uh about it being FnA. It's Frankie and Alex. For those that
Yeah.
don't know, that's what it stands for. But when I
Yeah.
first saw it, I was like FnA Van Life. I was like, yeah, these guys are pretty cool.
Fuck
FNA.
Yeah,
Yeah. No
yeah. It's
doubt.
yeah. I was gonna ask you though, because it wasn't that way at first. Um, and I think it's a cute story how you guys met, so I want to hear that too. But did you have the channel before you guys met, Alex?
Yeah, so I guess we'll go back to the beginning. So originally the channel or my channel was the Hungry Health Coach and Frankie had his own channel that was F Bomb Vlogs. So he was making like snowboard vlogs and
Outdoor
videos
adventure
about
stuff.
outdoor adventures. Yeah, and then I was doing like healthy cooking and recipes and diet and lifestyle hacks and things like that. So we both had our channels independent of each other before we met.
Mhm.
You want to say how we met?
So we actually met on Bumble on an online dating app, and it's where the woman gets to talk to the men. Once you match, they only have 24 hours to actually talk to you. And Alex luckily talked to me. So, I feel like I was the lucky one. And then we met up and we went to like a bar that was called Barcade and hung out, played some games. It was only supposed to be like an hour or so date, and it turned into like an 8 hour date. We like walked around New York and Brooklyn, walked over the Brooklyn Bridge, had ice cream, a really,
It was
really
pretty
cute,
great.
fun date. And we just continued to hang out. But on that first date, I told her, I was like, I'm going to be traveling soon, whether it's in a van or in like pulling a trailer or something. I want to explore all of North America. I want to hit a bunch of different mountains snowboarding. So the beginning of our van life was, trying to snowboard all the epic and icon mountains in North America, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that first date, I told Alex, I'm gonna wind up traveling.
Yeah, but so both of the channels, we were running them both as we were traveling originally, and it was just so exhausting to have to put up well, originally we were like, "Oh my god, it's so hard to put up 2 videos a week." Now we're putting up 3 videos a week, no problem. But it's because we're working together as a team.
Yeah.
So I'll edit some and then he'll swap in or like vice versa. And it's like great to be able to put up a video and then be like, I have to work on this. Can you promote it? And can you share the links? And so we're like tag teaming it together now.
Constant teamwork. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Constant
So
teamwork.
that's why we decided to change the channel over to FNA Van Life. It also more encompassed like what we were doing. Like I wasn't really doing healthy food vlogs anymore. And Frankie, we're still snowboarding, but it's not just a snowboard video anymore either. So it's way more
Right.
about van life and us and adventure and having fun. So it made sense to just switch it over.
Yeah, and it's funny because the little play on words, the FNA part, plus it's our names, our initials, and I already had that F Bomb Vlogs channel, so everybody thought I was dropping the F bomb, but it was really just Frankie, and it's a bomb channel is what I was trying to get at,
Right.
and so it was just funny that we were able to sort of carry that concept over to our van life channel as well.
Yeah. I was asking because and that makes it a lot easier because I'm trying to figure out when I go back out to date again. It's like it's going to be kind of hard to try to talk to somebody that's not doing YouTube. And be like, hey, there's a camera with me, and that's part of my life, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
that's a little
It
hard to
definitely made
explain.
it
Like,
easier that we were both vloggers and like cool with that. Because you want to vlog your experiences. Like one of our first like away weekend together, we vlogged that weekend.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best performing videos on F Bomb Vlogs.
On my channel, yeah. We went on a nice little hike, and just to really like allow us to show our personalities, bringing the camera with us was a really good way, because it allowed us to be who we were, not only in our personal life but as well on our video life. You know what I mean? So
right?
it was great to be able to get that aspect from each other and see that we work together well there as well as just in real life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And Cornerman Studio says hello to you guys.
Yo,
What's up?
what's
How you
up?
doing?
How you doing?
Cheers.
You want to grab
And
Paco a dog treat and we can throw it outside and then maybe he'll be a little bit less. I took him for a big walk, but he's like ready to play. They're up at there. Yeah, in the back.
he's just full of energy. That was so cute when you guys got him too. Like, how did it come about that you found him? Like, what's Paco's origin story with you guys? How you came across finding him and all that
Yeah.
stuff?
So we've been thinking about getting a dog for a long time. We actually were thinking about it when we were still living in Brooklyn, but when we were living in Brooklyn, we were working both 40 hours a week. We were commuting to the city, then we were van building, and it like every evening and weekend was taken up by that. So it just really wasn't like an appropriate time to get a dog.
It wouldn't have been fair for the dog for us to have a dog at that time. We wouldn't have had enough time to actually respect and take care of the animal, you know?
Right. And then when we started on the road, we were doing so many mountains, and our original plan before COVID was to do all the mountains and then from the West Coast take the Pacific Coast Highway all the way to Panama and then back up to Florida. So we were going to do a ton of border crossings and, you know, be in all of these interesting, exciting places. But we were worried that having a dog for all of that would make things really complicated. Yeah. And like, what if the dog got hurt somewhere? And then we have to find a vet in a foreign country where we don't really speak the language. Yeah. And it didn't really make sense. So once COVID happened and all of our plans kind of got thrown out the window.
Yeah.
We decided that, you know, maybe we could get a dog. So we started looking. I was looking all the time, like on Pet Finder and like all these, you know, apps to find your puppy right. or whatever.
Yeah.
And
we were up in like the Samuel H. Boardman area in Oregon,
which is beautiful,
which is super pretty. And we happened to come back into town, and Alex got this email basically saying that the people who adopted this dog that we were interested in brought him back. So we were like, all right, cool. We're going to head down tomorrow morning. And we headed down there and we met Paco, and it was a match for both of us. And, you know, we love him and we were super excited to have him. And then when we left and we started heading back up the Samuel H. Boardman area, our brake lines went out. So it was like, in a sense, a blessing in disguise. Like, we adopt this dog, and if we didn't, we'd probably be going downhill in the middle of nowhere with no brakes, you know? So it was like...
Yeah.
He helped save us too, you know, in that moment. So, you know, it was a very good idea to go back and get the dog, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I was talking to you guys and I was trying to do that minivan build and that didn't work out. And then I saw what was going on with you guys, and it made me really think, like, it's better to wait to get a really good vehicle to start out with, a really good foundation, than to just get whatever and start out with, so you're not end up in a situation where you're broke down stuck or whatever right off the bat.
Yeah, you never want to be stuck on the road. That's one of the hardest things, especially when you live in the vehicle, because then when the vehicle goes in the shop, they don't want you living in the vehicle while you're in the shop, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
We're
like
lucky
a liability
that Frankie can do a lot of the work himself. So,
Yeah.
like, while we've been here in Seattle area, there's a shop nearby that's like a DIY car mechanic. So it's way less expensive. But then you have to get your hands dirty and do the job yourself. Yeah. But then, you know, you get in there in the morning, you do the work all day, and then you leave with your van in the evening. So we knew that we would be able to take, you know, low in and out of there. But Frankie being able to do the mechanical work has saved us thousands and thousands of dollars.
So I did the brake lines myself. Proportioning valve myself $3,000 because they would have to run all new lines and do them from start to finish. Right. And that's like a time and material type of job rather than just like them giving you a price for it. So then on top of that, we did a turbo, which a turbo could cost, you know, around $2,000 to have replaced. You know, and then transmission gasket and oil change, thermostat. So that was all while we were just here recently.
We had an issue when we were in Salt Lake City also. We were parked for like 2 weeks waiting for this part because we had some blow by. Yeah. And we were actually in Jackson Hole, and we woke up to a frigid morning. It was like minus 17 Fahrenheit. and the van wouldn't start. And we literally, we had the glow plugs going, we had it plugged in, we waited all this time. The van just like, eventually, thankfully, it did get going, but we went directly to Napa and then replaced, like, a couple of bolts had fallen off of the fan.
Yeah, so the reason why I wouldn't really kick over too easy is because, one, it was freezing cold. Diesel doesn't start too well in cold as it is. And then on top of that, our bolts for our main fan, 2 of them were missing. So we only had 1 bolt holding on the main fan to the clutch.
Oh, man.
So for it to actually turn over, it was hitting and stuff, so it wasn't getting the proper torque it should get to get going. So we luckily got it going. We made it over to the Napa, and in that minus 17 degrees, I had to find the bolts and match them for the fan, and then try to get my hand in there and screw it on. I couldn't use gloves because it was such a tight spot that, like, I was trying to use my glove, but then I had to take it off, and my hands were frozen. Luckily, we wound up getting the bolts on there, and she turned over no problem after that. But it was just like, this little nightmare experience that took us from about 8 a.m. to about 11 o'clock in the afternoon before we could even make it over to the mountain to knock out another mountain on this, like, crazy, adventure we were on. So.
Yeah. Oh, and I told people on here, it's weird when you're on YouTube, because now anything that's bad that happens can be a positive because you can get views off of it. So it's almost like, yeah, that sucks, something happened, but we're gonna get content out of it. So
and like, if you look at channels when their van gets broken into or whatever, and then my van got broken into turns into like a 2 million view video, and you're like, okay, I'll just replace all the stuff.
Unfortunately, negativity sells, and I would like to sell positivity more, but unfortunately, negativity does
it's
sell.
So strange. So. Like, we'll put a title on a video. The video will be great, and like, we had a wonderful week, and everything was awesome. But then, like, maybe one thing didn't go right, and I'll make the title of the video that one thing that didn't go right. And it'll get way more views than if I was just like, typical awesome week of van life. Like, everything's sunshine.
Yeah, but I think that helps your mind, though. You know what I mean? When you can go, even the negatives are positive. Like, it really makes your outlook on life change from what it's been.
I mean, I think from the beginning of van life to now, I'm a completely different person. The way I view things and the way I look at life, and the way that, like, there's so many positives you could take out of a negative situation. There's so many learning things that you pick up on, and I think that's the reason why they're put in front of you, is for you to, like, pick up on them, learn from them, to become a better person, to become a better version of yourself, realistically, right?
Yeah. Always be improving. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And our destination said you guys are, like, really down to earth, and I kind of have a comment about that too. But she wants to know what's been your favorite state to stay in so far.
Ooh, Oregon for sure. Yeah. We spent so much time in Oregon. Originally, our plan was to, like, okay, maybe we'll be here for a week or two, and then we're gonna, head back up to Washington. We ended up being there for well over a month.
Yeah.
There was just so much to see, so many beautiful places to explore. We met a lot of other van lifers while we were there, so that was super fun to just, like, hang out and camp out and boondock with these other van lifers. There's so many different areas.
Well, so Oregon is very van life friendly, especially the Bend, Oregon area, or even like Eugene, Oregon Cascade Lake Highway. There's, like, just countless area to boondock as well for free. So there's, like, ton of forestry area, BLM area. So it's like it's endless, your opportunity out there, and it's also super beautiful. You're on these lakes, and you have these mountain views, and there's hikes everywhere. There's mountain biking. There's, like, just a ton of activity out there. So it's like, van lifers, I feel like, thrive in those environments. So
very outdoorsy, for sure.
That's been our favorite, but we really haven't been able to stay in one place until recently, like after the pandemic. So we haven't got to explore Montana, Colorado, Utah.
We've been
Arizona.
To all of them, but we kind of were, like, blowing through, just like get to mountain, get to mountain, get to the next mountain. So we haven't actually like chilled out and enjoyed,
Yeah.
which is kind of the catch-22 of everything that's going on now, is that we're like, all right, let's just travel super slowly. We'll social isolate. We'll be in places for, 2+ weeks so that we're not, infecting anybody or, moving a virus around or anything like that. Keeping our distance. And it's just allowing us to like enjoy the places that we are even more.
And speaking of that comment of being down to earth, like one of the things that we do when we're at these places is like we legit talk to everybody because like we want to get to know everybody. We want to like see people's vans and we want to see their buses and we want to get to know everybody and take something good from each person that we learn,
Yeah.
Or each person that we meet.
Yeah. And she says you convinced her to check it out. For
Good.
sure to check out Oregon.
Won't regret it.
You will not regret it. It's great.
And I was gonna say, like, you guys, I couldn't put a finger on it till I was just watching your stuff last night, and you remind me a lot of Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World, but with a little bit of swearing,
That's awesome. I love that. That's a cool comparison.
Yeah.
Man. Thank you. Such
Well,
sweethearts,
I mean,
right?
yeah, that and like you have like real magnetic personalities, and I was like, man, somebody like they should be on like TV somewhere. And then I watched like one of the recent videos, and you like had like a documentary. People call you and like are interested in what you're doing. So that's really cool that you have that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, who
I mean,
knows?
who knows? We'll see. We're not going to get our hopes up. We're excited if it does happen, and if it doesn't, that's cool too. But yeah, it would
it's
be
neat
great.
to just be like asked, and to like have the initial conversation even. And I feel like a couple of things are kind of like falling, our way recently, like different newspaper articles or things like that. Nothing's come out yet, actually, but
nothing's live
just
yet.
to like be in the talks with people about stuff like that is really exciting for us. So
yeah, even when we were doing the whole snowboard journey, we had quite a few people reach out to us. Couple like newspapers and things like that were getting ready to write some articles on us, and we were going to meet up with them. And then unfortunately, COVID happened, so that sort of put us in the back seat to it, and we understand that. It's all good. Maybe we'll get some of that publicity next year.
Yeah. It when you look back, like when you each started your channels, like if you went back in time and told each other, well, one day you're going to meet somebody else that's on YouTube like you, and you're going to be hanging out in a van together, you would have thought you were crazy, even though it was you going back in time, probably.
Oh yeah, you're totally right about that, Bob. I mean, I feel
we were both in other relationships and just completely different lives.
Actually, when Alex and I both first met, we both were not interested in actually dating somebody at the time, and it just worked out that we really enjoyed each other's company, and we continue to hang out every day since the day we met, and we really just hit it off, and it turned into this. Like who would think?
Yeah, it's strange how little things in life like do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And our destination wants to know if you had a chance, would you move into a bigger rig or stay in the van?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
We're really happy in our little home. We just renovated it a little bit to give us a little bit more space. So we're going to have a new van tour out in a couple of weeks that kind of shows exactly what we did for that.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I feel like the Sprinter, it's a 158
It's
wheelbase.
a 158 wheelbase, so it's like almost as big as the largest one. It's like, I would say 2 to 3 feet shorter than the 170, which is ideal for us in a sense, because we're small people. I'm 5'6". Alex is like 5'2".
Right.
So
we can both stand up all the way. We can both sleep comfortably. The nice thing about this rig is that we can get into normal parking spots. We don't have to like finagle to get in like through cities or anything like that, and we get 20 miles to the gallon, which is pretty amazing for van life, especially all the weight in the back of the vehicle. So I mean, it would be great to have a bus or something like that, but sorry, there's another dog walking by.
It's all good.
Bye.
He's not the first dog to bark during an interview, by the way. It's I would say it's about 50% now. There's a
50%
barking
of the
dog.
shows.
Yeah, dog
Yeah.
barking. Well, I feel like a lot of us have dogs, which is like it's a great lifestyle for the dog as well, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like a perfect opportunity to have an animal. So yeah, you definitely get some barking on the show. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
And
another
you
thing, sorry, another thing about the rig that we made sure to do is in the center part here where we walk through, we made sure it was big enough for a yoga mat and for us to be able to like roll out and stuff like that. So we definitely try to maximize the space. That way we're as comfortable as we could be in such a tiny home.
And honestly, when we're in here at night and everything's like closed up and I'm like looking from the bed into the rest of the house, it feels like a little home, and we have so much space. Like I'm never like, oh my God, our house is so small.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm usually like, wow, it's so big.
I feel like most people that come into this home for the first time and they see it like in real life rather than on YouTube or on Instagram, they go, wow, like this is actually pretty spacious, you know? Because we didn't put the cabinetry up here behind our head. We didn't put the cabinetry in the back where our bed is, you know? So it's saved us a lot more area to like stretch out and feel open.
right. Right. That's one thing. I think definitely when I build one out, I'm gonna have to have one that I can stand up in because the low
Yeah.
top really sucks for any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I
And
think that if you're going to live in it full time, you sort of got to stand.
yep, yep. And you guys do really interesting, like the way that you do your van tours and everything. Is there anybody that's on your list of people that you want to like that you watch their van and you think it'd be cool just to shoot your own version of a tour of it?
I don't feel like we've came across that per se yet, but we would like to tour everybody's vans and everybody's buses, no matter who you are, where you're from, because realistically, there's so many different people out there watching this stuff that you really need to show low budget, medium budget, high budget vehicles and builds because there's so many different types of personalities and like what people think that they may need on their travels. So we really just want to tour as many as we possibly can. And it gives us ideas of what we may want to do in our next build, you know?
Or even ideas for what we wanted to like update in our own build. Like a couple of things that we added in our renovations were stuff that we saw in other people's rigs that we toured. And we were like, wow, that just is smart. So let's add that. But yeah, I don't think there's anybody specific that I would be like, oh, I want to tour their van. I mean, definitely your van, Bob, when it's ready.
Yeah, when you get yours ready, Bob, we're coming.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was gonna tell you guys, I'm not that far from the freeway, so when you head south on 5, let me know, and I can meet you right off the off ramp and give you a sticker and stuff. But if you want to reenact, and because I saw you guys went to Point Defiance, if you want to reenact like that day of going to a bar arcade, there's one in Tacoma called Dorky's. And they have all the old pinball games.
I think he said that there's a barcade right by him.
Oh,
we could go and reenact.
Oh, down in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and in Tacoma, it's called Dorky's. So if you guys want to reenact that on video,
I'm losing them. Hold on, let me see if I could.
There you go.
I think it might be Bob. I don't know. If it's us.
I don't know if it's us at that point.
I can see you guys.
Bit, Bob.
Am I back now? Am I back now?
Frankie show.
Yeah. Hey.
Am I back now? Back now? Can you see me?
You haven't had any of your tea yet.
Yeah, have I been drinking
you
it
drank
the whole time?
thing. Good for you.
Hold
I
on.
always make him.
Oh. I don't know why it popped out. Darn it. Shouldn't be me. Oh, man. Let me see if I can refresh mine. Hold on. They're popping back in here. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see here.
Ours is loading.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Twice.
Do we got you back?
Yeah, you're here and there at the same time.
Perfect.
There you go.
So you were saying something about reenacting?
Yeah, reenacting that first day. It's called Dorky's in Tacoma. That's
Oh,
a
Oh,
barcade.
nice.
yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Love that.
Yeah.
yeah, and there's up there. I think I don't know if it's exactly Point Defiance, but there's a park up there. You can drive around the Tacoma. It's by Tacoma Narrows Bridge, and it's over there by the zoo and stuff like that. You can take the little path, the road around, and get some
Cool.
pretty cool shots up there. So you'll have to
Nice.
check it out.
We actually went to the zoo there the other day.
Yeah,
think-
my
Yeah.
sister's with my sister and her family, and my mom was in, so we went out to the zoo over there, which was sort of kind of sad.
Yeah, it was a weird experience.
Yeah.
I feel like with everybody wearing masks and the whole social distancing, and you can only walk in one direction, and like it was just like there was no animals there.
Yeah.
It was just like a sad.
It was
day
a
at the
weird
zoo.
experience due to COVID, I think, but
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing though too. I mean, you'll be able to look back at those videos, and it's a snapshot in time,
yeah.
like of what was going on right then and there. So that's kind of cool because like if one day, if you guys ever have kids or whatever, have a family, it'll be cool to show them that. Like our parents only had photo albums, but now you can be like, look, this is what was going on, and you'll have some cool music behind it and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. So it'll be
And then
entertaining,
your kids
more
could be
entertaining.
like, your kids could be like, "Oh, you guys are actually pretty cool." Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. And what is our dad's asking, and I kind of want to know too. What is some places on your list that you definitely want to go to?
Oof, there's a lot.
Yeah, well,
There's
up
a lot.
next we're gonna do the Olympic National Peninsula. So
Mhm.
we're gonna head up there to Olympic National Park and kind of do the hiking and the beaches and the forests, and so that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and then I think we definitely want to hit Montana and go to like Glacier and check out some
Oh
of
yeah,
Idaho. You know, Idaho is really beautiful. When we were over there for Sun Valley, one of the mountains out there, just like the way that the mountains just like lap on top of each other out there is just, it's magnificent. So I would like to really like go on a nice hike somewhere out there and be able to get that view again, you know, in the summertime before it starts snowing and whatnot.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Alaska is on the list.
Mexico's
on the
list.
list.
I
you
mean, we
know.
wanted to do all of the countries all the way to Panama. So we want to do that still.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way the world is right now, it's probably not possible for at least a year or two. I don't know.
Even going overseas and doing like some of Europe would be awesome, or like New Zealand, Australia,
Asia.
that would be absolutely.
We've got
amazing.
lots of travel dreams.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see like between budget and what's going on in the world, what
Yeah.
we can actually make happen.
And I
Mhm.
mean, it's sort of it's tough because we live in America, and I feel like America is like the leader in COVID in the sense of cases and stuff.
We're
not in the
winning.
not in the good type of way, but the problem with that is that even though we might not have it, other countries aren't going to allow us in. So it hurts
Yeah.
our opportunities because of the way that it's being taken care of here. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one of the places that you went to that I thought was really cool, and it looked like you had a really good time there, was up in Canada. I think it was Mount Tremblant or
oh
Tremblant
yeah.
over there by Quebec.
Yeah, we got to hang
Yeah.
out with Alex's mom and dad. They booked a nice Airbnb, and it was super sweet of them. And we got to go snowshoeing with them, which was
Yeah,
super
that was
dope.
really fun.
We walked over like an ice lake. That was pretty neat. That was where that like drone shot was coming over the ice lake with us walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was super beautiful.
All of Canada is really beautiful. We did some time in Ontario as well, and then we were actually supposed to spend a lot of time in Alberta and British Columbia.
Yeah.
The dog just ran away again.
Come here, boy.
But that's not possible. So actually, I think probably as soon as the Canadian border opens, which probably a lot of people are thinking the same thing, is that we're going to try to head up there. I am Canadian. So I have, my Canadian passport, and I'm a Canadian citizen. So technically I could go whenever I wanted, but right now I can't bring Frankie with me. So
Hold on, I gotta answer.
Right.
our niece is calling.
What's up,
now,
the
too.
lady?
Sorry.
It's all good.
What's up, sweetie?
It's all good.
Yeah.
Paco misses you.
So how long did it take you to learn that bridesmaid rap that you did with your friends there
Oh
at
my
the wedding?
god, I can't believe you saw that. It took a while. We did a lot of FaceTime calls. None of us live in the same city. So we would do like a lot of FaceTime to like figure out the lyrics and then to actually practice it. And then it's funny because the day of the wedding, we were in a hotel room like practicing. And then so we're like doing it. We're like getting all into it and whatever. And then we finish and we hear a knock on the door. And we're like, oh shit. So we go out and the groom could hear us rapping it from the hallway. And he was like, guys, that was awesome. Can't wait for tonight. It's going to be so good. So, yeah, that was super fun. That's hilarious. I didn't think that was going to come up today. You do your homework, Bob.
Yeah,
I do.
Awesome.
I do.
I'm glad that you
Well, I
saw
watched.
that, actually.
Yeah, I watched that though after I had seen the other ones with your friends because I watched those ones because you're going to be really. The one game that you did on there, that speak out game, that's like a game for dentists. That's what that game's for, is for dentists.
Oh, that's funny.
Where you put the thing in the mouth, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like conditioning you to be cool with getting your mouth opened real wide.
Right. Yeah. Is that a group of friends you've like had for a long time? Like that was your group that you went out with on the weekends?
Yeah, those are my university friends. We, you know, when did we meet? It must have been like over 10 years ago now. Yeah, we're best friends. One of them just had a baby yesterday, so the group chat is just like popping off with photos of the baby. So exciting.
Oh, man.
Actually, that girl's wedding that we were rapping at, she had the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. We've all been there for each other's like big life moments, and we try to get together as often as possible. When we were living in New York, it was easier because New York to Toronto is only like an hour flight.
Yeah.
So it would be really easy for me to like pop home for the weekend or, you know, just like go for a quick visit. Whereas now, obviously, we drove to the other side of the country and aren't going to be flying back. So, you know, we haven't seen our friends and family, well, except for the ones that we're currently with, for a while. So that's kind of one of the downsides of van life, is that you're definitely isolating yourself from everybody that you are used to seeing all the time.
Yeah.
And it's tricky sometimes.
Right.
I mean, the one good thing that we do have going for us, though, is like just throughout life, I've developed a good friend base living in Florida. A lot of my Florida friends moved all over the country. So I've had the opportunity to, like, every other week or so, you know, meet up with a friend that I grew up with in high school and I haven't seen for 11 years. But they're also gracious, you know, offering, you know, showers
or laundry
food,
or
whatever,
meals.
you know, they just want to be good hosts and they're excited about what we're doing with our lives. So it's really cool to just get those opportunities to meet up with just random friends that, you know, you sort of lost touch with over time.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It sucks that you're not near the people all the time, but you do have the option to go around. And like I've lived in a bunch of different places, so I got friends different places as well. Were you always like either one of you, like when you were younger, were you always moving around a lot? Like has that been part of your life, or?
I lived in New York until I was about 12 years old, and then my family moved to Florida, so they took the whole family with them, and I lived in Florida in a place called Englewood, Florida, for about 10 years before I moved back to New York. But during that time, I developed, like, I was the kid from New York, I was the kid from Brooklyn with the accent, so I sort of had like a good group of people that were always around me, and then, you know, I'm the type of person that I like to be friends with everybody. So I didn't like keep myself in one group. I legit just like went around to every group. Every week I would be with a different group because I just wanted to be friends with everybody. So I would bring people together and whatnot. And that ultimately has helped me now. And then I would go back to New York every summer and get to spend the summer there with all my old friends in New York. And then I would meet their new friends and whatnot. And so it just has opened a lot more options to me now that I did move a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I was in the same house my whole life. Like the house that I got brought into from the hospital was the same house I left to go live at university. And then I never moved back after university. I moved from there to my university town and then to another small town near my parents and then to Toronto, which is like the big city in Ontario. And then from there, I moved to New York City. But that was all like in my adult years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so
still a
I
unique
moved in.
experience though to have.
Yeah, I mean, I got offered a job in New York by my company in Toronto, and I mean, who's gonna turn that down? You know, like, oh, do you want to move to New York?
Sure.
Yeah. No,
Especially that point of your life, like in
yeah, I
like
was in my
your
early
early
20s.
20s. That's
And
like
I
the
was like,
perfect time to be in New York. There's just so much there to do. Like, you know, you go out to types of
Oh,
activities. You
oh,
lost
you
us for a
popped back.
second.
Yep, for a second. You popped back in though.
mm.
But yeah,
But,
you're saying the 20s is a good time to be in New York because there's a lot to do.
oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
But
it's
then by the time we left New York, so we're both over 30 now, and you know, you're kind of looking ahead and you're like, okay, well, I'm never going to be able to afford real estate in New York City. You
Right.
know, my job is fine, but it's taking up so much of my time, plus commuting. I'm stressed out. You know, I'd have no time for myself.
mhm.
And so both of us were kind of ready to be done with New York City, which is one of the reasons why we kind of looked into van life also, because we were like, well, you know, if we could get in the van and travel all over Canada and the United States, and then we could find a beautiful place that we want to live,
Yeah.
you know, and like settle down.
I think a big part of it too was we were both done with like that 9 to 5. We were both working at our
Mhm.
jobs for about a decade, and we, you know, Alex loved what she did, but I was more in the boat where like I was okay with what I did because I made good money, but at the same time I was just like I was commuting 3 hours a day, an hour in, an hour and a half to 2 hours back home every single day. I was losing 3 hours of my life every single day. To work for somebody else. I wasn't even making all that money. I was making some of the money, you know? So part of it to me was like, I need to change my lifestyle because I wasn't happy with losing 3 hours of a day every single day of my life, you know, for the last
Yeah.
decade. I mean, I probably
Yeah.
lost a year's worth of time just from commuting to and from work, you know?
Yeah, and I think you get older, you realize, and I was just talking about this earlier, that they talk in economics about supply and demand supposed to be the value of things. Well, you have a limited supply of time on Earth, and you'll
Correct.
end up selling to somebody for like $10 an hour. You sold somebody an
Right.
hour of your life, like you're saying, commuting, you're not getting anything for it.
Yeah, I'm not getting
You
paid that much.
know, so why not, if you're not going to get paid that much when you really look at it, why not do something that you enjoy instead of
Yeah.
something
Correct.
And the
you
nice thing
hate
about
doing?
YouTube is that instead of like a 9 to 5 job where you're getting paid for every single hour that you work, obviously it's a lot of work to like put a video together, to edit, to promote it, to get it
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
But once you're done that work, that video lives online forever. And so we're still getting paid from videos that we made at the beginning of our travels.
Mhm.
Like videos that I made of like cooking and things like that from like 3 or 4 years ago still get comments, still get views, when we still get paid from those. So, you know, as our channel grows, it's not necessarily that every week we get 1,000 views on our vlog. It's that,
Mhm.
yeah, we get 1,000 views on the vlog, but also the 200 videos that we made before that
Are
are
also
still getting
videos,
views.
views.
So, you know, if we can build that library up to a place where it's like,
There's
you know, lots of videos to get views on indefinitely,
yeah.
you can make really decent money
Mhm.
every month on
Yeah.
YouTube. And the lifestyle is so inexpensive that you don't really need that much money to
To
be
live.
able to like live van life.
I think that's one of the
Mhm.
most interesting things about this lifestyle too is that like we've learned to be minimalist and we learned that we don't need much, you know, which I think is something that every person should really experience so that way they could, you know, cut back on materials and things like that. Just so they cut down on waste, you know, alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interesting to me.
Yeah. And Melnetti, Living Free Zip Code list says, just checked out your channel and you are amazing.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. It's super sweet.
We appreciate that for sure.
Oh, and Van Life, Sheldon's Travels just popped in here too. I don't know if you guys have seen them guys before.
No, we're gonna have to
Hey.
check them out. I don't think I might have, I might not. I've watched so many channels that like names just sort of
Yeah.
get mixed in my head, and it's almost hard to keep up with, you know. if we've met you in person, we know exactly who you are for sure. But if we have not, it all sort of just like mingles together for me, at least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It gets that way. That's why I sit down, like write a bunch of notes out for
Oh,
everybody
you're so
because it gets to a
smart.
point where I can't remember individual things anymore. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like too, you're such a good networker. You have so many like online friends and groups, and I feel like you're really good at making connections online, which a lot of people maybe aren't so good at. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's why like your channel and your podcast have grown so much is that you're just really good at making friends online.
I feel like you're good at
Yeah.
being you, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. Good at being me. That's for sure. And that's what I tell people. It's easier to be you because you don't have to worry about keeping that up all the time. If you're just you all the time, then it's the same on camera, off camera, all that stuff.
That's it,
And
man.
it's a way to be. And it's been really cool, like watching you guys hang out with people because it looks like you've made a lot more friends since you've been on YouTube doing this and then doing van life than what you had before too. Because it's hard when you're an adult to make friends and you're not in school or university or whatever
Oh
anymore.
yeah. I mean, think about it. Like a 30-year-old, male and female. How many friends do they meet in their life after that point of hitting 30? Probably 4 or 5, like actual friends. You know what I mean? For the rest of their life. Unless they're
Yeah.
like super, super out there and going around and meeting people everywhere they go. I mean, and a lot of them just become like acquaintances, rather than
Mhm.
actual friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool doing this because you can keep up with the friends that you make. So when you meet up, like you don't have to talk about what you did. You can watch the videos and then just hang
Yeah.
out. You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. And it's so nice to hang out too. Like obviously we love, finding boondocking spots on our own and, just being in nature. But it's super fun to find, another couple or another van lifer who like wants to come and camp with us. And then we have somebody to talk to around the campfire that's not just each other.
I feel like we got a lot of that in Oregon, and that's another reason why we really loved Oregon is because we met so many van lifers: Skuliana, Aimless Travels, Nomad Brad, JL Human, Julie. I mean, just all these people that were like so gracious and sweet and nice. And then even in California, we met Forrest and Alex, where we did that van tour, that ProMaster, which was super cool. But like, I think the reason why Hallie's Wandering Soul and Jared, Boxcar Child. I mean, you name them, we basically met them over there in Oregon for the most part, and I think that's why we hold Oregon so close to our hearts because we just met so many cool people that we'll always be friends with for the rest of our lives, and like. We talk to most of those people on almost a daily basis. We interact in some type of way with them, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's over the phone. It's just nice to be able to get yourself out there and meet other people that are just like-minded.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you share those common experiences too, like of being content creators. And I kind of wanted to know because especially your older content, you were kind of talking about life coach type stuff, Alex, on your channel and that kind of stuff. Like, what are some tips that you have for people when they encounter like negativity on their content, like from people leaving comments? Like, what do you do to deal with those type of situations?
So I guess it depends on the level of negativity. If it's really just hateful and awful and gross, I'll just delete it because honestly, I don't really want that on my channel. And comments like that happen. And I feel like at the beginning, I took them really personally. But now I'm kind of like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you need a hug? Like, it sounds like you're having a bad day. But so if it's a really gross, awful comment, just delete it and forget about it because obviously that person's, having their own stuff going on.
Yeah.
If it's a comment that's more like critical or, maybe they're not understanding what's going on or maybe, I don't know. Usually I'll try to educate or I'll try to, just kind of I'll usually apologize because I'm Canadian. But like, so one of our videos, one of our van tours that's done very well actually. It was the second van tour that we ever shot. The first one was our own, and so the second one was this. So this is the first other people's van that we've ever shot, and we did a really bad job of filming it. But we didn't know until we got the footage afterwards, right? So like, we just got to work with what we have and get this video out. And so we get comments on it all the time about how terrible we shot it and like, wow, this is the worst van tour I've ever seen and blah, blah, blah.
And we agree. We agree.
Yeah, so
it's not good.
I'll comment back and I'll say, yeah, I know, this was, our first time and, we've learned from all of your critiques and, we're trying to do better. Mm-hmm. So like, here, check out this newer video where we think that we've done a lot better. Mm-hmm. So I'll send them the link to a newer van tour. And then usually they'll comment on that one and be like, you just got a subscriber for me. Like
9 out of 10 times, they're like, damn, you guys are so much better than what you are. I mean, what people need to realize is that a lot of people on YouTube are making videos for their first time ever.
Learning.
And learning.
The first video that you ever edit and put out is going to be garbage.
Compared to, 200 videos later.
Right. And so, and it's the same thing. Like the first video that you put out is going to get maybe 1 or 2 comments versus the 200th video that you put out is going to have a lot more comments. Yeah. And you're just going to have to deal with the fact that like 95% of the comments are positive and then 5% are, not.
Hi.
So we try to just be friendly with people and, spread positivity and just spread joy.
Sorry, my niece is running around the background with
our dog. Is chasing her.
It's really cute, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Come in?
But yeah, you just got to kind of let it roll off your back. This is our niece.
Yeah.
This is our niece. It's Delaney. Say hi.
Hi.
Can you say hi?
How are you? Hi.
She's stunned. You smell like
it's all over her face.
Did you have a cookie?
Oh man. She might have a few cookies. That's why the dog's chasing her. He smells the peanut butter.
Yeah, right. He wants to lick her face.
Right. Oh my God, you smell delicious. But yeah, so right now we're staying outside of Frankie's sister's house. This is where we've been doing the renovations for the last couple days or weeks.
Yeah.
And we figured it would be good to do the podcast with you here because we know that we have Wi-Fi. So once you get out on the road, that's not so guaranteed.
Also, I want to go back to that comment question. One thing that we do is kill people with kindness. Like, if you ever heard that term, that's the best thing you can do because all it does is it flips their thought a little bit. Like, damn, these people are still being nice to me even though I'm being an a-hole, and just kill them with kindness, I think that kindness is the best way to compete with people who are trying to be angry, Yeah.
Or being funny. Sometimes if they say something, I'll be like, I'll pretend I didn't understand what they meant. And then I'll be like, oh, did you mean that you want me to make more cookies or like whatever? And then they're like, well, I don't know. Great video. Bye. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks.
It all counts as interaction in the end. So,
right.
As far as YouTube cares. And Vanlife Sheldon Travels just stopped in to show us some love. And he's asking if that's inside of your van. And yes, it is the inside of their van.
Yeah. Well, we just did some renovations, so these are our new decor projects.
Alex's macrame.
Yeah, so we needed a place to hang our big old hats, and then we added some plants up here, which are going to be great for like air filtration. My dad made a good point. We should have got some like basil or like edibles.
Yeah, that's true.
But we just went for like sparkly, pretty plants.
We can always work on that. If one goes, we can throw some basil in.
Yeah, and then we added this mirror because we don't have any windows in here except for the sliding door and the back windows.
Right.
And there's no way that we're going to cut into the van at this point in time.
Yeah.
So the mirror kind of acts like a faux window, kind of elongating the space and also reflecting some of the light from the door, which is really nice.
And Alex could do her makeup now, so works.
And They want to know if you do the van build yourself, and I think you guys did put that one together yourself.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did it all ourselves from a very rusty, empty box.
Yeah, it was very rusty. We were working 40 hours a week, both of us, plus the commuting, and we basically worked on it on the weekends, and build it from a completely empty box to what you see now, and we're always improving it, and we love our space.
And I went back, and I think the live that you did yesterday was the first live that you had in a little while.
Oh yeah.
And before that, you were doing them for the podcast, and it was kind of cool because I was listening to you guys talk about what you're getting for your build, and now you're in it. So it's kind of cool to go back and look at that. Do you ever go back and look at some of that stuff like before you got in the van, and then kind of look at it now and appreciate it a little more?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, like things will pop up in your feed, or somebody will comment on an old video or something, and then you look at it and you're like, "Oh my god!"
We're like, "What?"
It was so much work and like stress, and it was just exhausting.
Every time somebody posts a picture of like them building their van out, I have flashbacks. It's like PTSD, it's having flashbacks, everything, and I'm like, listen. You guys are going to go through some really rough times. Just remember that it's all going to be worth it in the end. You're going to be happy when you're traveling. And also on top of that, if you're doing it with a partner, if the partner's starting to get angry, just feed them. Just feed them. They're probably hungry.
Yeah, that's always good advice. Keep your partner happy, and that's one thing that I'm jealous of couples that do this because I'm doing the posting and all that stuff myself. So I'm doing all that, and so it's always awesome to have somebody else there as a teammate. And you guys make a good team in that area. You both hand each other off each the responsibilities. So that's really cool. Really cool to see.
Partner in crime for the van build, for van life in general, and then also for all of the online stuff.
I mean, we've had a few situations on the road too where like only like really two where somebody's like knocked on a van or did something suspect, and I feel like if Alex was in here by herself, it would have been more intimidating.
It would have been very scary.
And so one time somebody took a picture of our license plate, and this was like in the middle, like the first phase of COVID and like everything coming back to normal, and it was actually Alex's birthday.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, like, excuse me, what are you doing? The guy's like, fuck you, and I'm just like, whoa. So I'm like in my underwear, and I sort of just pop my head out the door, and I'm like, excuse me, like, what's wrong, to the guy? And the guy's like, you people come here and you bring your COVID with you and you throw your garbage everywhere. And I'm like, listen, dude, we've been living in this van full time for the last 5 months, I think it was at the time. I was like, we clean up after other people when we go to campsites because we don't want it to look like crap. We want it to look good for us as well as for other people. On top of that, we haven't been in contact with anybody in X amount of time. So we are not the ones bringing COVID around. I had a civil conversation. By the end of that, he was like, God bless you guys. I'm so sorry for jumping to conclusions and have a wonderful night. And it's just funny. Like people jump to conclusions and like have these moments, but yeah, just having each other in the van to like deal with these moments, it's just super helpful.
Yeah, and you should have handed them like a business card and be like, here, look, you can see. I'm telling you, I clean it up because I've seen that on your guys' thing all the time.
That's the thing is, our tag is all over our van, so like
if we were throwing garbage out the side of the van,
people would just take pictures of our thing and be like, these guys litter everywhere.
Right?
Yeah. And Van Life Sheldon's Travels, they are full-time traveling, but they had to repair some brakes, which I got to say, having done mechanic work before, doing those double rolls on the brake lines to make the brake lines is not an easy job.
Especially when you get the full-on stainless steel ones. Oh man, those double flares are a pain in the butt.
We ended up giving up on it because we tried for many hours.
I flared 4 of them. And then I was like,
this is ridiculous.
I kept trying to flare them, and they were so hard to flare underneath the van. Like, because, I have to do it while still, some of them are still connected and whatnot. And I'm flaring them, and some of them were just coming out bad. So I wound up buying a couple lines from AutoZone
that were already
flared and just bending them to make them fit. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's one of the difficult.
That's easier.
Yeah. You need to get those copper nickel lines so it's easier to bend and to flare.
Oh yeah. But even those ones, if it's not on there perfect, it never seats right.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing I hated. I hated that.
So fingers crossed, everything that we've done in the last couple of weeks holds tight. And if it doesn't, at least Frank knows where all the junctures are and where everything is. So.
And the main thing for me is like I have experience flaring because I used to do air conditioning for
a living. And we have the tool.
So I flared all the time in air conditioning. So, you know, moving it to a double flare isn't too much different.
No. And Vanlife Sheldon Stroll says the first 10 builds that you do, van builds are hardest, and then after that it gets easier.
The first 10. I love it.
10's a lot.
I don't know if I'll ever get to 10. Maybe. We'll see. But, you know, I would definitely like to build another one for sure. And then I think what our ideas for later on in life, we'll probably have like, I would say at least 5 or 6 built by the time that we settle down and figure out what we're going to do and all that. So, yeah.
What's a for sure thing in the next one that you build?
A for sure like build feature?
Yeah, that you're
stationary bed.
Stationary bed.
I feel like I hate making the bed. It's so annoying. So the idea of having to like make the bed every day,
never gonna happen.
No.
I mean, the stationary is definitely a key to our van build. I feel like having that living area separate from your bed. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I would love like the seams of the bed and couch and stuff. You know, as well. You fall into them when you're sleeping and stuff. I feel like.
Or maybe a Murphy bed would be cool.
Yeah, like a pull down.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah, that'd be really neat. And Van Life Sheldon's Travel said for them a shower, and that's where I first kind of started talking to you. As I shared the video that you had made, Van Life Shower or whatever, in one of the groups there, and you must have seen it. Like you must have seen the traffic from there or something come through and seen it on there. But I really appreciate that you guys put so much work into that. And I know those videos you're trying to get views out of those kind of videos anyway. And so it was really cool to start talking to you guys over that, and then just really appreciate like when I've asked you to look at things and stuff like that, because your editing is really good. Like it really shows that you put a lot of work in, like especially from your older videos to now, just the difference in what you've learned. What would you say is a good thing that people should learn to do in their editing? Like what's the one thing that helped you guys out a lot?
Quick, fast cuts, cutting out the ums and so's and words that don't matter.
Get to the point and get there fast, because people
point.
Lose attention really quickly. So it's really important to just like keep it moving.
Yeah, it's a little bit extra editing for sure to cut out those things, because you got to nitpick a little bit. And then in those cut areas, add some B-roll, so it just makes everything look clean and together. That's pretty much the best thing you could do. Yeah, I don't want to give too many tips away. But
no.
Yeah. But really, it's just about like learning the program that you have and the software, and like getting comfortable. And like the first video that you edit, it's gonna take many hours to like get it to somewhere. But then the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it, the faster it goes. If
you are getting bored while editing your video, cut the stuff out that you're getting bored at, because other people are gonna get bored about that part too.
Yeah. Watch your videos like you're a viewer. And we have a couple minutes left here. So what would you say to people, like when you meet them on the street, or whatever? How do you go about telling them about your channel? Like, what do you usually say to them?
Frankie can talk to anybody about anything, anytime, anywhere. He's the most friendly guy. He'll literally just like come up to strangers and be like, "Hey," like whatever. Usually when we're in parking lots and stuff, if we see other van lifers, we'll like pull up right next to them and be like, hey, like, sweet rig, you know, how long you guys been on the road? Just to, like, you know, open the conversation. And then we always let people see our van.
Yeah, we always ask them if they want to see ours, and then we ask if we could see theirs, you know, type of thing. And yeah, now we have like stickers and stuff as well, which you can buy for $5 if you like out there. But at the same time, we give away a lot of those stickers to people that we come across on the road.
There was funny the other day, we were driving down the road and some guy drove beside us and he like had his arm out the window and was like, yeah, like,
he's like, I love your van, you know.
And then so we went up to him at the stoplight and we ripped off 2 stickers and like handed them from the, you know,
from
outside
the
car from the window.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's just like opening that door of conversation and like being comfortable talking to strangers, because a lot of people aren't.
I think the biggest thing with talking to strangers is find a way to relate to them. So whatever they're doing, like relate to that situation at the time, and then conversation opens from that.
Yeah. And Coleman Studio has a question: how many tools do you keep in your van?
A lot.
Oh, I have a whole tool bag and an extra little small tool bag in there. I have air conditioning gauges if I ever need to do side work. I can pick up some air conditioning job. But yeah, I have every tool that you need for the van specifically, because realistically, the one thing I'm going to be working on is the van itself. So I want to have tools that are specific to the van itself, because that's really what you need the most of.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And then I also have the saws all in a bandsaw.
Hell yeah, man! That's a good amount to have there for sure.
Yeah,
takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, I want thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna play the outro video, and I'll talk with you guys a little more in a minute.
Sounds good.
But
thanks for having us.
Till next time, guys.